Back at Alexander Memorial Coliseum, let's take a quick look at our Pizza Hut starting lineups for Boston College. It'll be Dudley, Roach to go along with Oates, Rice, and Marshall. And for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, you will see Mario West as a starter. This is his senior day, the redshirt senior. Jeremy Smith, Thaddeus Young, Crittenden, along with Rayshawn Dickey. And Clemson has beaten Virginia Tech. So a Boston College win coupled with a North Carolina loss would allow BC the #1 seed in the upcoming ACC tournament. If both Boston College and North Carolina lose, Virginia's back in the mix as a potential #1 seed in the ACC tournament. So still a lot to be determined
if
here.
BC and North Carolina lose, Virginia wins it outright.
That's right, exactly.
So there's still a lot of crazy things can happen.
In this topsy-turvy league that's been #1 in the RPI through much of the season, and a league that has so many backdoor cuts, why not a backdoor regular season crowd? You might get it that way. Even after Virginia lost to Wake Forest yesterday, they're still in the hunt. Dudley saves it, gets it to Roach, not there.
Type of shot you can't miss on the road, a wide open layup inside.
Out of bounds, last touched by Georgia Tech.
One of the things Georgia Tech talked about, the coaching staff talked to Paul here beforehand, extending the defense, trying to get Boston College out of their rhythm, defend them 94 feet, and then really overplay their high post outlets.
They really believe that they're going to have more hop in their game today because of this week off that they frankly needed. This is not a very deep team. And they also indicate, when you talk to the coaching staff, Mike, and we both did before the game, getting a lead is very important to Boston College. They're a tremendous front runner.
Well, and they don't have, well, the reason why they don't have a lot of three-point shooters. And when they establish themselves in the lead, it makes their offense run that much better. You have to defend it a little harder, a little differently. And just in the games that they have been competitive in and have won, they've gotten off to good leads.
Al Skinner's done a remarkable job there with Tyrese Rice. Not there. Rebound pulled down by Thaddeus Young.
And he's the one guy who will launch an early three in this offense. It's a type of a component that they didn't have last year. So he's got a little latitude to do that.
West, lone remaining player from the national champion finalist Georgia Tech team of 2004. Shot clock winding down on Javaris Crittenden. A fadeaway that does not fall. What a save by Thaddeus Young.
That's one thing that Boston College worried about, second chance opportunities for Georgia Tech. They can't give those up.
In traffic, Jeremy Smith is hacked.
Talk about doing the little things. Now this one's short. Normally a ball shot there will rebound on the other side, but his freshman running mate, Thaddeus Young, just quicker to the basketball. BC slow to react to that rebound.
One of the reasons why there's always concern when you're a team like Boston College matching up with Georgia Tech. They are deeper and they are quicker to the ball, it would appear, coming in.
It's a game about tempo. BC wants to get this game in the 70s, slow it down. Georgia Tech wants to run it to him, like you said, to get into the legs of Boston College. Hope that shows up in the last 10 minutes.
Georgia Tech does scratch. Only one of the two free throws hit. Dudley, nice save into Rice's hands. Marshall. Poor pass that time. He had created an open shot, but the pass to Oates was a bit too strong.
And Oates is a guy who'll take threes. He's got a little attitude to do that as well. But Marshall, I think, got up in the air before he thought about scoring, and then the pass was an afterthought.
Off the ball, what a nice move by Young. Doesn't get it to fall. Roach gets the rebound. Outlet to Rice. Marshall all the way to the rack.
Talk about controlling tempo, but they will run selectively. On the long rebound that time, they had numbers, not good defensive transition by Tech.
Rayshawn Dickey has been a load of late. Most of these Tech players are playing their best basketball right now. Jump stop and a deuce by Smith.
One of the things that Tech has an advantage, wide bodies inside, and Jeremy Smith has been very active offensively, only averaging 5 points a game in his last 4 coming in.
It's almost as if when you look at Paul Hewitt's team, Mike, it took them this long to really begin to get it on this end of the floor defensively, and now that they have, this is a very dangerous basketball team.
Well, that's the whole thing with Paul Hewitt. The game begins down here, and with a young squad, he's had to kind of coax them along, but they've invested in the last 8 games.
Shot clock violation. Just as we mentioned it, Georgia Tech's suffocating D forces a turnover.
Well, the best part of that, too, is you make Tyler Roach the decision maker in that process, not in a position to take the shot off. Now, Boston College wants to be deliberate and run clock, but they got to give themselves enough time to get a shot.
Dickey trying to work a little high-low there, decides to take it himself. Rice gets the rebound. Talk about the value of Jared Dudley, how much he's meant to Boston College. How about the development of Tyrese Rice? 3rd turnover now by Boston College. Crittenden. Nice little fake of the dish as he got it into the lane to hit the runner.
When you're defending the break, especially with Crittenden, you have to stop the ball. BC's defenders were split that time, and nobody checked him in his advancement.
Yet another turnover. 4 committed in the first 4+ minutes by Boston College. You talk so often about how skilled some of these young players are. How about this? Oh, fake the dime.
A defensive battle here early, and let's take a look at the end of that last possession. Georgia Tech very solid, closing out on shooters, making Boston College work around the perimeter of the offense, and eventually just left with nowhere to go. A great defensive stand. And this is this quote by Paul Hewitt: when we defend, we play some of the best teams in the country. When we don't defend, we can get beat by anybody, and I mean anybody. We can't afford another one of those stretches if we want to extend the season.
I also believe, Mike, in watching this team play, and let's say they win this game today, maybe get a conference tournament win, they may be working themselves into a seeding situation outside of the 8-9 game, maybe into a 6 or 7. They could be a very dangerous team.
Well, and the thing you like is that Crittenden is matured, so he's still a freshman, and it'll be his first NCAA tournament appearance, but he clearly is a big catalyst for this team.
Rayshawn Dickey, the junior from South Carolina, with his first deuce. 7-2 Tech.
Offensive efficiency is going to be key for Tech because it's going to allow them to get into their full court pressure more easily.
5 possessions and 4 turnovers, as we documented a moment ago. Let's see what Rice can navigate here against Georgia Tech. Being defended well by DeAndre Bell, who's given this team some quality minutes, particularly in the North Carolina game. Crittenden comes over, and Anthony Morrow picks up the foul. So we're talking of North Carolina, the men playing for a potential #1 seed in the conference tournament. The women won the ACC tournament earlier today, as seen on many of these FSN network affiliates.
Yeah, an emotional win yesterday against Duke. Just couldn't get it done here today, but she's had a great finish to the season.
Absolutely, and will do some damage in the NCAAs, no doubt. Young taking it to the rack, and he's fouled. It goes against Tyler Roach.
There's a look to rush up the floor. Crittenden had the vision to make sure that pass was connected. He almost dribbled it off his knee out of bounds.
Jeremy Smith at the free throw line. Struggled there this year. That one looked good. You'll see Crittenden and Rayshawn Dickey taking a seat, as Anthony Morrow, as we mentioned earlier, being joined on the floor now by number 44, Alade Aminu, the sophomore from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Smith knocks him down. Boston College with only 2 points. Almost 5.5 minutes deep. And a quick foul given up by DeAndre Bell.
But Tech has to be careful, Tim. They will put people on the line. They'll foul, and I think if they do that, they get into an early bonus against BC. They'll bail them out. Right now, they've got the start they want to in this game. They just can't let BC off the hook.
Well, what's that old saying with young team? You get aggressive defensively. Sometimes it leads to some aggressive fouls. And suddenly your opponent can get back into the game by way of the free throw line. Ray Natili is the official over there checking with the clock operator to make sure some more time is put up. He and Reggie Greenwood and Mike Wood, our veteran ACC crew this afternoon.
There's the guy with the ball right there that makes BC tough to press. Dudley is at a forward, has the ability to handle the basketball. Other forwards not used to guarding full court.
That makes Tyrese Rice a bit more comfortable because, as you know, he's really a converted two guard. Would love to find some open shots on the wing. Speaking of the wing, Dudley fires. Oh, the iron unkind to Boston College. 6 minutes gone and only 2 points on the board. Mario West. An emotional day for him today as a senior. What a look! What a look to Jeremy Smith!
Well, and they needed that emotion from West. I talked about the fact they expended a lot of energy against North Carolina, and I really think that he has given this team an emotional boost in a very tough game today.
Dudley. And again, an aggressive move defensively, but it does lead to a foul.
There's the great look. Mario West, not a big-time scorer, but creating off of penetration, draws the double team. That's an easy deuce. No lunch for that one.
Oh, Mario West picked up the foul. Now Rayshon Hickey will check back into the game, replacing Holiday Aminu. Aminu will take a seat. Well, Paul Hewitt doing his best to use as many players as he can early in this game.
Again, it may not show up in the first half, Tim, but they're looking forward to show up late in the second.
Rice, not there. Shamari Spears just checking into the game for Roach. He's been bothered with a bad back. And he picks up a foul just as he comes in. The outstanding freshman from Salisbury, North Carolina. He's done a really nice job playing the position vacated by Craig Smith, but he got banged up as the season progressed.
Well, not a lot out of the offense for Boston College here early in this game. A lot of jump shots for them. The basket very small right now. They're not getting any easy opportunities. BC now falling back in the zone, trying to test Georgia Tech from the perimeter.
Not there. Out of bounds. It belongs to Georgia Tech as Thaddeus Young unable to connect from downtown. Boy, how hot was he against North Carolina. They made a lot of shots in that game.
Career high 25. But he's a guy, Tim, he doesn't like to put it on the floor. I think you have to make him a driver, jam up on him, make him create off the dribble. He's too good of a rhythm shooter.
I think that was one of the issues Roy Williams had in the aftermath of that game. Moreover, who also performed admirably. In fact, has been in double figures in 12 of Tech's last 17 games, including the 18 against North Carolina. 1 for 5 from the floor. They have as many turnovers.
Shots right now.
Shots, that's right.
That's not a recipe for success on the road.
Suddenly driving baseline. It's the contact prior to the shot. Paul Hewitt argues with Mike Wood over that one. Zach Peacock picks up the foul, his first.
Already 14 fouls for Georgia Tech. The thing with Dudley that he's really got a well-rounded game. His jump shot is something you have to respect, which is why you have to get up on him. It opens up the driving lane for him.
Aminu, Peacock. Along with Anthony Morrow, there's a steal by Young.
That's the key to guarding that defense right there. The high post denial of that pass. And Thaddeus Young shooting the gap and creating points.
A 15-0 run for the Ramblin' Wreck.
by John Oates. Not the thing you need when you're struggling offensively.
Here goes Crittenden, leading it again for Morrow. Too strong.
Well, I think on the one hand, Tim, the break was good from a rehab standpoint.
Yeah, they look a little
But yeah, they've lost their game condition and their game shape.
There was a push by Marshall. Sean Marshall, the senior, picks up the foul.
A little grand larceny from Thaddeus.
And it's 16-2. Georgia Tech ripping Boston College early. 11:33 remaining opening half. Let's update the standings again after that victory by Clemson against Virginia Tech. Now Virginia back in the hunt for a #1 seed. North Carolina really controls their destiny in the matchup with Duke, which begins in a little more than a half hour from now. How about some categories for champions from your standpoint?
Well, I think, we look at the surprise team. It's got to be Virginia. They were picked 8th in the preseason polls in the league and still have very much an opportunity to claim the regular season title outright if Boston College loses and North Carolina loses. But to go along with that, I think maybe the surprise loss of yesterday against Wake Forest. And Wake getting it done. Kyle Visser having a terrific game. 2 free throws late to seal that win.
And what has been a very difficult stretch for Skip Prosser, too. You've got to be happy for that young man, and also for Skip for pressing on under difficult circumstances with a very young team this year.
But you look at Dave Lato, really has changed the culture up at Virginia, and a great backcourt. But after that, role players, and they just got it done defensively this year.
Really did. Tyrese Rice over to Shamari Spears, and the freshman knocks home a deuce.
I mean, I don't know any coach maybe who could deal with this type of situation better than Al Skinner.
Yeah.
And he's very calm with his team, gets them, and right now BC's got to regain control of the rhythm of this game.
A quick shot doesn't hurt either. That was what was taken by Morrow. Dudley, the follow of Rice's layup. Crittenden leaves it again for Morrow. Decided to make the adjustment in midair. Really left Crittenden in no man's land that time. Georgia Tech will go to Mohamed Faye, the 6'10 freshman from Senegal.
And Paul Hewitt knows that this lead is nothing at this point. 10 minutes in, and it's only a 10-point game. The thing is, it's hard to play with such a big lead early. You tend to get out of the things that got you that lead, and a couple of long jump shots by Georgia Tech are evident of that.
Young spins on the baseline. Boy, nice job of hustle to keep that ball alive. Run down by Crittenden. There's another example of quicker to the loose ball opportunity. Georgia Tech.
Paul Hewitt trying to flag down his freshman point guard to run some offense.
Blair got involved with Rayshon Dickey, and Dickey is tagged with a foul. First foul on Rayshon. It had been better than 6 minutes since Boston College had hit a field goal before they got the one a moment ago. And you look at the score, given the drought that they had, Mike, it could be worse than it is.
And I think the second 10 minutes of this half will be much different than the first 10.
Marshall out very quickly.
Those on underneath out of bounds plays, that took about a second and a half for BC to get the ball up the floor and score.
Just like that 14-point lead has been carved in half. From the top, they left Jeremy Smith alone.
Well, he knocked that shot down, but I think BC will live with that. They'll live with that jump shot from him.
Douglas had a really mean pick on Faye. Just picking himself up. In fact, they both were. And Crittenden with a needless foul, reaching in his first.
And here we are, Tim. It's 9:18, and BC 1 foul away from the bonus. And they make more free throws than anybody in the conference. Here's the look. There's 9:58, and this is an inbounds play. Couple of dribbles, one long pass, 4 seconds, you get a basket. That's way too easy.
Boston College lives at the free throw line. And Again, Georgia Tech has been very aggressive on the defensive end, but when you're playing a number of guys and you're this intense, you're going to pick up some fouls of aggression. There's another one. Mohamed Faye, prior to the shot, I believe, was before the shot, so it's a 1-and-1 opportunity. Look at our game summary. Dudley struggling early in this game. Boston College turned it over 4 of their first 5 possessions, currently have 7 here at the Alexander Memorial Coliseum. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. Tim Brando, Mike Javinsky, happy to have you with us.
And let's look at it. 9:08. BC gets into the bonus. Let's see how many free throws they shoot from here on in to the half. This is, again, getting to the free throw line, slowing the game down, making it a little ugly, chipping away. This is how you take the wind out of the sails of somebody that's playing up and down.
Anthony Morrow comes in for Thaddeus Young.
I think a lot has been made, and rightly so, of Jared Dudley. Outstanding season. But the guy at the free throw line right now has made huge strides this year for Al Skinner's team.
And really had to. In fact, when you consider the loss of Sean Williams and also, Akita McLean, these were 2 shot blockers that can allow you to play the kind of game you wanted, a beat deep up and down the floor, get some easy baskets. Tyrese Rice really had to channel his game and play exactly the way Al Skinner wanted for him to be effective. And he got that done in just his sophomore season.
You can see how packed in the defense is, and that's one way to break it up. Morrow is their best perimeter shooter, starting to play like he was last year.
Anthony Morrow has 6, and the lead is 11. Rice, a scoop to the hoop by Tyrese.
What happened there, Tim? You had a clear out of Dudley coming up for the back screen, and Rice took advantage of the opening.
Faye, Mohamed Faye, too strong. That was a quick shot. Rice on a blow by. What a pass to Dudley, and he's hacked. Mohamed Faye coming over will pick it up. Second foul on Mohamed Faye. Jared Dudley will get to the free throw line.
Jared Dudley, shooting 2.
So much expected from Jared Dudley already, but when you lose a player like Sean Williams and what he meant, and let's face it, this was a dangerous looking team early. They looked like the possible #1 seed material when he was out there on the gates early.
Best shot blocker in the country, certainly one of them, a difference maker in the game, much better offensive game. And I don't know that there are how many teams that are out there that have taken a hit like that, losing a player like that,
right,
and still rallying and staying near the top of the conference.
Mario West giving it up to Faye. Smith in traffic. Mario, too strong. Rice runs down the rebound. 21-14, Georgia Tech by 7. 7:42 remaining here in Atlanta. Mike, Boston College began 1 of 6 from the floor. They're now 4 for their last 5. What are they doing to create better looks?
Let's take a look in the offense. Jared Dudley on the low post is going to come up and set a screen right here for Blair. And what it does is it opens up the lane for Rice to turn the corner and get all the way to the rim. Let's watch this play out. This is just movement in the offense. But we talked about Rice, his ability to attack, and that allows him to get inside. The weak side help not there for Georgia Tech.
Lead was at one time 14 for Georgia Tech at 16-2. And they've been outscored 12-5 since.
And I think that that's the reason what they're doing. It's not what they're doing. They're running their offense and they're getting some easy runouts. But it's Al Skinner and it's Jared Dudley. And it's leadership and it's how they affect this team that's going to allow them to get back into this game.
And you're right. There's a calmness about Boston College that's always evident. This is the man that helps give the team and his coach that calm. Offensive foul as Marquez Haynes forced the issue that time. Marquez Hayes go the other way. We
Talking about the help side not being there, and so much attention being paid to Dudley, but that time a little bit better attention to detail. Rayshawn Dickey stepping over and taking the charge.
8th turnover committed by Boston College. Haynes the culprit that time. The lob is inside. Peacock, a wise choice of getting it back out to the perimeter.
Talk about blockers. Terrell Blair can do that. He can give that team a presence in the lane.
Crittenden off the bounce. Well, does he have some skill? He checked into the ACC with a lot of skill.
Well, and it's just recognition of who's guarding you too. Blair, the shot blocker, wanting to give ground, and that gave Crittenden the ability to get the J off.
He was going for a steal against Haynes. Rice splits the double team, short-armed the runner, pulled down by Rayshawn Dickey. Mario West. Working on Dudley. Well, that time he anticipated a move, did Rayshawn Dickey. Crittenden looking for a deflection, did not get it. Mike Wood asked for help from Reggie Greenwood, and he said, I didn't see it either.
You know what? This was 3 woo passes by Georgia Tech, but the third one went out of bounds. You don't want woo passes from the crowd. You want solid passes that connect with somebody.
Out of bounds. It belongs to Boston College.
Take a look here, a good view inside. Yeah, Dudley did deflect it, but just barely enough that it didn't really change the trajectory of the ball. It's tough to pick up.
And by the way, maybe the officials have been wooed too. Everything funnels through that guy. Dudley with a laser to Tyrell Blair. That was an absolute laser.
You know what that was, Timmy? That was 5 defenders looking at Dudley with the basketball, and Blair just walked in and got a dunk.
23-16. Blair with a shot block. Just as you mentioned, G-Man. There's the answer. Zach Peacock goes outside, and then an unforced error by Boston College.
Georgia Tech substitution number 33.
So just look right here. Stop it right here. Dudley's going to look at all the defenders. Everybody, boom, boom, here, 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 here. Everybody's looking at where he is. There's the wide open man inside. Run the play, and he's such a great passer. What a great look.
Doesn't get much better than that. Morrow off the inbounds. Dudley runs it down, gives it to Tyrese Rice. Leaves it for Dudley. Used the window. They did everything but finish. Jared wanted a foul, didn't get it. Morrow. A triple for Anthony.
5-point swing on that play. You get the rush up the floor, although it was a tough conversion for Dudley. But Morrow's the guy, Timmy. In transition, you've got to build out to him, find him. He's going to hunt the three-point line.
He really has gotten back to the form that he had at the end of a season ago. Had those back problems early this year. Blair goes in for the dunk. Counted in a foul.
Boy, just no respect for where Terrell Blair is by Georgia Tech. But here's the look. Crittenden knows exactly where his teammate is. You have to build out. Rice caught that time, having to cover up big inside. And then this is the second nice look that Blair has gotten shaping up. Really no defenders around him. The bigs for Georgia Tech have to be more attentive to where he is.
Zach Peacock picked up the foul. His second. Rayshawn Dickey has taken a seat. Thaddeus Young back on the floor for Georgia Tech. It was Blair that hit the game winner the second time around against Florida State and Tallahassee. He has really emerged, and as Mike mentioned, he may not be quite the shot blocker as Sean Williams was, but he gets his fair share of deflections through the course of the game.
With that win, you talk about the win with against Virginia Tech, or the loss, but the Clemson now ties Florida State, and by virtue of 2 wins goes by them with the tiebreaker. That's a big win for the Tigers.
Peacock couldn't hit. Smith keeping it alive, and a bailout foul from Rice.
Marcus Haynes is in the building.
He's a little larger than I remember. Marcus put on a little weight at the turn of the century. The Jackets are buzzing. And they lead it by 9. ACC Sunday Night Hoops is presented by Pizza Hut, home of the pan pizza, where you can fill up on tons of toppings and our delicious crust. Want more taste? Get America's favorite pan pizza. And by Just for Men. Stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. We welcome you back. Georgia Tech leading by 9. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, happy to have you with us. Coming up next, the Pac-10 women will take center court in the Pac-10 tournament semifinals to see who will advance to the championship game. Coverage begins right after our game right here on FSN. Number 9, Arizona State, taking on number 25, California.
Right now in this game, Georgia Tech 10 more field goal attempts than BC. That by virtue of 8 turnovers for the Eagles. A couple offensive rebounds for Tech.
Crittenden will trigger it in with a fresh shot clock for Georgia Tech. Young, Smith, alley-oop from Crittenden.
BC came out in his zone on that underneath out of bounds, and then when the ball swung around to the other side, the backside of the zone fell asleep.
11 for Smith. He's had a wonderful first half for Georgia Tech, and they lead by that margin. Reach-in foul again committed by Zach Peacock. That's his third.
Well, you talk about ball movement. Here's Smith staying on that side of the floor. Now it's going to swing around, and then you see everybody focusing on the other side of the basketball where Crittenden is. Pretty pass.
Tyrell Blair, who was a spectator on one end of the floor, gets to the free throw line on this side. He has 5 points since coming into the game.
The offense they get out of him as a bonus team coming into the game. On the year, he had 64 rebounds, 52 blocks total, and 60 points.
Yeah.
So, you know, defensively, that's where his strength is right now. But nice little shot in the arm for BC from him.
Transferred from Loyola of Chicago and has been a tremendous find for Al Skinner's team, particularly in the wake of the loss of Williams and Peter McLean. Crittenden working over and past Rice. High arching off the glass.
See, I'm thinking post up and drive. Crittenden can have an advantage over Rice about 2 or 3 inches taller, and it was evident on that play.
Under 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Georgia Tech 32-21 over BC. Dudley lost his footing. Spears bailed him out, and then here comes yet another reach-in foul committed by Georgia Tech. Jeremy Smith with his first.
I think one of the things they need to clean up, Tim, you look at it, is the fouling, especially putting the BC at the line.
Well, there's a new network that covers one of the most prestigious conferences in America. The Big Ten's best. It's all on one channel. The Big Ten Network, coming August of 2007. Spears at the free throw line.
There are 11 teams in that league, though.
Yeah, I've oftentimes wondered
who gets left out.
There are a lot of reasonably intelligent men that still haven't figured that one out.
I mean, I understand the brand and the trademark, but my goodness, you have 11 teams.
Spears has 4, and it's a 9-point Georgia Tech lead. Well, this is, after all, Sunday Night Hoops, and we're playing at, what, 3 noon Pacific time?
That's for people in London who are watching.
Touche. Tyrese Rice working a stop and go. Gives it up to Sean Marshall for 3. Spears kept it alive, but it's taken away by Smith.
Marshall has been very quiet.
What a pass by Crittenden.
Yeah, I talked about the fact how important Dudley is to BC. I don't know if there's anybody more important to Georgia Tech than Javaris Critton.
I would agree.
Just how he goes, so goes this team. And that's a heavy load to put on a freshman. But he's been terrific in the second half of the season.
Holiday Aminu got the deuce, but boy, was he set up perfectly by the freshman sensation Crittenden. And a reach-in foul committed by Smith.
There's the look, and just great vision. You like the size, right off the dribble, hitting him in stride so he doesn't have to put the ball on the floor. That's always the key with the big. If you can get him in stride right to the rim, it makes his life a lot easier. And here you see the differences to him in what he does in 19 wins and 10 losses, 5 fewer points, and shoots 20% less.
Two-time All-ACC Player of the Week. And in the last 8 games, he's been just tremendous. His development, very noticeable. Foul goes against Tyrell Blair. We're talking about the impact he's had over the last 8 games. Look at that.
It's good for a senior.
That's efficiency, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you get points out of him. He's accounting for just about 30 points between assists and scoring.
DeAndre Bell and Mario West check back into the game. Morrow, Thaddeus Young. Holiday Aminu comes over as well to talk with his head coach. He remains in the game. Tech has extended its lead back to 13. A near turnover there. And another bump by DeAndre Bell. He picks up another foul. That's his second.
Georgia Tech foul, number 13, DeAndre Bell. That's his second.
Well, Boston College has managed to hang in because they've gotten to the free throw line as often as they have. We talked about that a bit earlier.
Perfect, Tim. 9 of 9 from to this point. And Rice, a very good free throw shooter, just under 80%.
Well, coming up at halftime on our Acura halftime report, we'll have a recap and highlights of that NC State North Carolina ACC tournament final, and also a special look at really one of the great guys in intercollegiate athletics who's helped the ACC become what it is today, Fred Barakat. Mike Hogwood and the guys back at the ACC Women's Tournament will have more on Fred, and we'll have some first half highlights as well.
Fred was the head coach at the University of Fairfield, not too far where I grew up, and I used to go and play scrimmage against his team when I was in high school, and he tried to recruit me out of my high school. So I've known him for a long time.
He did recruit you here, didn't he? In a manner of speaking.
Absolutely, no. It was very influential in my career here in the ACC, behind the camera, in front of the camera, and just has done so many things for this league.
Crittenden. Again off the window. He loves to use the backboard. 38-24, and I ditto that for Fred. One of the truly great people in intercollegiate athletics. And every game in the Atlantic Coast Conference, think about it, every game is televised. Not many conferences across America can make that statement. Fred Barakat made sure that became a reality. Rice from downtown. Oh, the iron so kind to Tyrese. Tried to get out of there, but fell back through. 38-27. Shot clock differential only about 4.5 seconds, so Crittenden will hang on to it and initiate the offense here in a few seconds. Quick timeout taken by Paul Hewitt with 20.4 remaining and 15 to shoot. Well, we were talking about your awards that you'll be doling out through our broadcast today. And Javaris Crittenden, how about your freshman of the year, G-Man?
Well, and you know, with his late push, really tough. But I went with Brandon Wright, and he's just so influential with North Carolina on both ends of the floor. He can score, he can rebound. He's been putting up numbers on a very deep and talented team. Leads the ACC in field goal percentage, which a lot of Carolina bigs have done over the years. But defensively, I think that was the difference maker for me. And not just block shots, steals and man defense as well.
You know, in the game that they've got coming up with Duke, which is about to get underway here today in the Atlantic Coast Conference, I think he's the one constant for Roy Williams defensively. There have been some questions about his team on the defensive end, especially off the performance against Georgia Tech late the other night.
Yep, no question about it. And, you know, I guess when you start 3 freshmen, that's even though it's late in the season, those hiccups are going to happen. And everybody, when you think about North Carolina, everybody's dazzled by the offensive numbers. But clearly, Roy Williams thinks about the defensive end of the floor.
Right. And earlier today, Florida, by example, gave up 43 points to Kentucky, yet blew them out in the second half. 85-72 was the final. And there's a foul as Smith went for the offensive rebound and got hocked on the arm. Foul goes against Tyrell Blair. Second foul on Tyrell.
It's right now too many second chance. We talk about turnovers, but that and second chance opportunities are where Georgia Tech has hurt BC in this game. That and 3-point shooting.
Thaddeus Young and Morrow leave. Mario West has come back in for defense, as has DeAndre Bell for Georgia Tech. Defensive for offensive substitutions, with guys having a couple of fouls. Paul Hewitt not wanting them to pick up the dreaded third before the break. 4.6 remaining, and Al Skinner has time to diagram one last quick play.
Well, Tim, you talked about it at about the 10-minute mark or 12-minute mark, that as poorly and as many things are going wrong for BC, to only be down right now 11 with a chance to cut into that. I think if you're Al Skinner, even though you're not happy with the way your team played, that's not the worst of all cases.
I agree. And let's take a look at some ACC news and notes coming into today. That incredible performance by Al Thornton, which we documented a little earlier. How about the finish to the regular season for Gary Williams? I mean, we were there for the North Carolina game last week. That was as special as in any environment I've ever been in.
I think their perimeter playing as well as anybody in the league right now. Strawberry, Jones, and Gravis Vasquez.
Vasquez especially has taken control as a starter. Time winding up. Rice. Maybe was on the sideline, so it's out of bounds. It belongs to Georgia Tech. With only 1.3 remaining. And as amazing as that loss was for Virginia yesterday to Wake Forest, that Virginia Tech's defeat today to Clemson, and what might happen the rest of the day, and the Cavaliers still may be a #1 seed before it's all said and done.
They become huge Georgia Tech and Duke fans.
And of course, in the conference tournament we're speaking of, Morrow's shot a bit short. And again, reminder coming up at halftime. We'll take a look at the career of Fred Bearcat. What a job he's done through the many years that he's been involved with the Atlantic Coast Conference. He's impacted it in many ways, more than just in the games that you've seen in men's basketball, but across the board, the way the game's officiated and throughout. More on that with Mike Hogwood, and we'll recap the ACC Women's Championship game won earlier by North Carolina. That plus halftime stats and highlights. Stay right where you are. ACC Sunday Night Hoops is brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. Our score at halftime, Georgia Tech leading by 11, 38-27. Tim Brando, along with the G-Man Mike Jaminski, our last game together. Partner, it's been a lot of, well, not our last game together, our last game here together.
It's been a great season,
Really
very intriguing year in the ACC this year. And some interesting highlights in that first half to me. A lot of it revolving around the point guard for Georgia Tech, Javaris Crittenden, getting out, scoring in the lane in transition. Also showing he's got that mid-range jump shot as well. The nice look over the top of the zone, the lob to Jeremy Smith, and then making life easy for the bigs out in the open floor. 10 points, 4 assists for him. And the big thing too, Tim, no turnovers.
The other thing I wanted to mention, that if you look at the way this game is played out, were it not for the turnovers early committed by Boston College, they're right in this thing.
And turnovers, second chance points, they've given up 23 of their 38 to Georgia Tech.
Let's take a look at our statistical data from the first half. Our Acura halftime stats, and it shows you that field goal shooting percentage, almost a dead heat. 3-point scoring has been to Georgia Tech's a betterment, but they're a little cold of late.
But the thing, Tim, is that because of those turnovers, Georgia Tech 13 more field goal attempts in this game. So BC needs positive possessions. They need to come down, run their offense, and get shots.
They only had 2 points in the first 9-15, but they did warm up in the transition game, did BC. They'll need more of this to make a game of it in the second half. Georgia Tech has the lead as we open the second half. This afternoon's game presented in high definition. Outstanding high definition.
That was Reggie Greenwood in high def.
That's absolutely right.
Start the second half. And already a BC starting the second half like they ended the first half with a turnover.
I always wanted to say today's game is being presented in high definition and in color. I always wanted to say that. It just sounds, I don't know, like a throwback to the good old days. Live and in color.
With an ISO camera on you the entire game.
That put back a little too strong by Thaddeus Young. Yes, we are deep into the season, ladies and gentlemen. Oates from up top. Well, he missed everything except the backboard, and he dented it. There's the inside pass again. Rayshawn Dickey making it 40-27.
Yeah, great look inside by Creighton. And Dickey has such a wide body. Both he and Smith can keep defenders on their back, and Oates just got caught out of position. So the errant three on one end, and then getting up to 2 points inside on the other.
Again, ball deflected by Smith. Marshall gets it back. And Boston College dodged another turnover.
Marshall's quiet. Well, actually, Dudley only had a couple of field goal attempts.
Only 2 attempts.
Yeah, but Marshall not many more either. And 2 of their leading scorers, they needed to get those guys into the offense.
Jared Dudley only 4 points in the first half. And G-Man, coming into today's game, he needed only 9 to crack a barrier that very few have ever done at Boston College. As you see a strong move there by Mario West, the senior in a Tech uniform. Jared Dudley 5 points away from 2,000 at Boston College.
Quite a milestone.
Roach, a runner. He's fouled, taking it inside. This young man pressed into duty, what with the injuries, especially of late, to Shamari Spears.
Georgia Tech foul.
Freshman from New Hampshire. Mario West picked up the foul, his first.
See Jared Dudley, and you know, the thing that's amazing about him that we haven't talked about, he's played virtually every minute of every game in the ACC season for Al Skinner, and you know, he's had 18 minutes off in 15 games.
It's amazing. His father Anthony is in attendance. I'll be awfully proud of that young man. You know, through the course of the years, Mike, we get a chance to see players develop. And it really is one of the joys of our profession. Jared Dudley's one of those guys, on and off the court, you really love to see develop. As Oates knocks that one away. Holiday Amino was trying to take it up for a slam. John Oates picked up the foul his first. How about your player of the year, G-Man? Who would it be?
Well, gee, here's a segue for you. I just think Jared Dudley, you know, it was a close call between him and Al Thornton, but Dudley, we talked about all the things that he is a part of here at BC, and not just on the floor, in the locker room, an emotional leader, offensively, passing the basketball, defending, leading the conference in scoring and rebounding. Just made a compelling case, and keeping his team at the top of the conference throughout a lot of adversity.
It will be an interesting coach, to be sure.
I think you look at it, Tyler Hansborough is in that conversation. But I think a strong case could be made either or.
There's an over and back. Again, Georgia Tech extending its defense, and it really began with Mario West. He was absolutely dogging Tyrese Rice, and it led to the turnover.
And we talked about the lift, and he really prides himself as a defensive player. They get graded out every game on film, and he's normally one of the best in any 40-minute segment with this team.
What the stopper can do with the ball. What a delivery. What a delivery. Crittenden couldn't finish it. Minu with the recovery. Young with one extra pass leads to a turnover. Boston College will have it. They were a little too unselfish that time. 2.5 minutes gone here in the second half.
And they're really trying to get into Tyrese Rice.
Another steal. West started it. Crittenton finishes. Mario West with the pilfer of Dudley from behind, leading to the easy deuce. Largest lead of the afternoon. Another Boston College turnover.
This team coming unraveled right now in the pressure. We talked about it. It may not show up in the first 20 minutes, but in the second 20 minutes, in this little stretch right here, Georgia Tech starting to lengthen out their lead.
6th in the conference in steals. 6th in the country, I should mention. 10 steals per game. That's an outstanding number. Boston College dug themselves a hole to open the game. They've done the same here in the second half.
Going reversal, Young. 4 in the game for Thaddeus.
He's actually worked a little bit more in the paint in this game. It's been other guys who've been scoring. Jeremy Smith has been a double-figure scorer in this game. Crittenden and Morrow, but now you have to feel like that young man is going to start to look for his offense.
Roach dumps it down to Dudley. Got his man airborne. Oh, he wanted to get that one through the cylinder, and he's fouled underneath.
Here's a look. He does a lot of his work out on the perimeter, but there's the nice pass. And that's the thing with Crittenden. He's so big that he has the vision that he can see through things. Good movement without the basketball by Thaddeus Young.
We start talking about these all-time names at Boston College. How about that? Minutes played, points, rebounds. That's where he ranks at BC. And they've had some incredible players go through the year.
Talking to the people, I was asking myself, what's life going to be like next year? Without, I hate to force that on them, but they've got an excellent recruiting class coming in next year. But you don't lose a guy like Dudley and not feel the effects of it.
Well, I remember we did a game, I want to say it was back in December, Maryland playing at Boston College. Gary Williams did not wince. He said, Jared Dudley's best player in the conference. No question. Just like it. And he's right. I agree with you. I think he is the best player the ACC has to offer this year.
Virtue of that, it's interesting to see how much attention he gets on some of the postseason All-American teams.
He deflected that ball. Trying to bring back his Eagles.
And this is another instance where Georgia Tech can't fall asleep. They've carved out a nice lead for themselves. Can't get complacent.
Another turnover. Miscommunication between Rice and Dudley. Young tries to save it. Rice now gets it back to Dudley. And because the floor was unbalanced, BC gets an easy one. Jared now has 8. He's 1 point away from 2,000 in his career. Crittenden off the bounce. Dudley and Dickey were fighting for it. Tyrese Rice runs it down.
That's the thing, you have to make him go left. You can't make him beat you with a strong hand.
Dudley, yes, and a foul. And he cracks the 2,000 barrier, hitting the deck with an opportunity, an old-fashioned three-point play. Anthony Morrow gets the foul, his second.
And a fitting way for him to get his 2,000 points. Scrapping, digging it out, getting it done defensively to him and in transition.
And by the way, as the Doobies used to sing back in the day, with Michael McDonald, minute by minute by minute, he plays them all. Jared Dudley, 2,000 points. There's Anthony Dudley, the father of Jared, the California kid that migrated to New England. And he's our national car rental play of the game. Take a look at this. Why not? And you know what? They're on a 6-0 run, and it's all Dudley to get them back into the game.
If he converts at the free throw line, Mike, it'll be a 7-0 Spurs.
Well, and when things are looking their worst, this whole team looks to him on the floor for confidence, and he has delivered in this last little stretch. This is the thing that, Paul here, I'm sure, driving home to this team. Hey, this is the 12-point lead. With that guy out on the floor, we are by no stretch of the imagination safe.
Well, it's a 6-0 run for Boston College as he failed to convert at the free throw line. Tech by a dozen. They got it up to 18 a moment ago. One of the things Boston College is going to have to work on in the upcoming conference tournament, Mike, regardless of the outcome of this game, are these slow starts that they've had recently. Aminu not there. There's the follow. Stays with it, though. Tyrell Blair and Smith going at it. Tie ball with the arrow to Georgia Tech.
Just a hand up inside and fighting. Another hit, just more second chance opportunities for Georgia Tech. They'll get a third crack at it because of the possession arrow.
Dudley again getting his hand involved. But this is a problem potentially for Al Skinner that I'm sure he's going to work on between now, because as you mentioned earlier, the lack of depth and the style of play, the flex, the thing they like to do to win games, they need leads to open games and halves. They fall behind early. It's tough for them to catch up. Rice with the loose ball, and he's hammered. Aminu got a piece of him.
See, that's where Georgia Tech has the advantage. They've got bodies to give fouls, especially with Aminu. And you know what, Tim? And then you look at here's the break. It was a nice little tap ahead by Marshall to get Rice out in the open floor. But Georgia Tech is not going to give you free layups inside if they can get there. They'll take a hard foul and put you on the deck. Look at BC. We talked about they had the week off, and now they're going to have another 4 days before the play starts in ACC. And I'd much prefer to be playing games in this stretch rather than having time off.
Zach Peacock checks into the game. Holiday Aminu checks out. 48-38, Tech by 10. Not quite 6 minutes gone. They're in the ACC. Final weekend of regular season play before the second season begins with the conference tournaments. This year in the Tampa area, Tampa Bay, 8 through 11. They foul off the ball going against Tyrell Blair of Boston College. That's number 3.
Yeah, just a little subtle interchange right there. Blair was starting to complain to the referee, and Dudley said, hey, come on, play ball. Just, get your head back in the game. That's just part of the teaching, part of leadership.
Alley-oop again. Crittenden finds Jeremy Smith. Boy, same absolute trajectory they had in the first half from a different wing.
Yeah, there's the fourth lob they've gotten, and just the weak side of BC's defense focused in on what Crittenden is doing with the ball instead of playing ball you man and understanding where your guy is.
Marshall tried to force it into Dudley. Look at him outfight players for the ball. Could not get it above the rim. West all the way a solo. Mario. There is trouble in turn 4 for Boston College. 52-38. Tech by 14.
He's trying to will this team to a memorable victory on senior day, and doing it on both ends of the floor, not just scoring points, but defensively.
Nice work, Jamari Spears. You can really tell he's not himself. That back has been giving him some problems. It's had an impact on the amount of minutes that he can play. He's undersized for the 4 spot, Mike, but I think they're very pleased with what they've gotten from him this year.
Good minutes, solid, low center of gravity, unfair comparison to Craig Smith, who's an All-American candidate.
Paul Hewitt a little unhappy with the set that he saw.
I believe he and Marshall ran into one another, and he wanted to make sure that there was some sportsmanship involved before he went to the other huddle.
Paul was a little upset about his offensive set. They're ooping here in the ACC, or as G-Man would call it, the woo factor. We'll be right back.
Georgia Tech leads it by 12 over Boston College.
Mike, I know you'll be among the many in Tampa Bay for the upcoming ACC tournament. It is the granddaddy of all postseason tournaments.
Well, and wide open this year, too, Tim. You know, just the way people have been playing. You know, how about that first day? I don't know that I'd want to play Florida State and Al Thornton. I don't know that I'd want to play Sidney Lowe and NC State that first day. And Duke is going to be involved in that first day. And Maryland has a chance to be involved in that first day. I think Maryland playing as well as anybody right now.
Well, until the losses, interestingly, until the losses of both Virginia and Virginia Tech earlier today to Clemson, there was a chance that North Carolina and Duke might have played on the first day. That's
still,
eliminated.
no, that's still in the realm of possibility, because if North Carolina loses and BC loses, North Carolina will be the 5th seed.
The catering will be outstanding in Tampa.
With the shot clock winding down, the senior drains a rainbow. Mario West. 10 in the game for Super Mario.
I was always a sucker for seniors at their last home game playing well. I mean, that's just a great storyline.
Foul will go against West, against Dudley. Well, Paul Hewitt designed to play during that timeout, and he called on the senior there, partner, didn't he?
Yeah, no question. We talked about him being a defensive stopper, a great shot.
ACC Sunday Night Hoops is presented by Pizza Hut, home of the pan pizza, where you can fill up on tons of toppings and our delicious crust. Want more taste? Get America's favorite pan pizza. And by National. With the Emerald Club from National, you can bypass the counter, choose your own car, and get an e-receipt. National. Green means go.
55-40 Georgia Tech. Gentleman and his kids having a great time. Wonderful to see here at Alexander Memorial Coliseum.
Filled to capacity for this home finale.
For Georgia Tech, and Mario West's defensive and offensive excellence continues out of every timeout.
What hustle here.
He was the one, you know, his motor is always running at a high RPM, especially on that end of the floor. He's just making it life difficult for BC.
Dudley's pass picked off by Thaddeus Young.
Morrow for 3. Dudley the rebound for Boston College.
Marshall off the dribble.
Right now, Georgia Tech playing the pace of game they want. Getting the quick shot from BC, but that's a function of them being behind 15 points with 11:20 to go.
Talk about teams playing well at the end of the year, and all coaches want to get their teams in rhythm on both ends this time of the season. Georgia Tech's got it. They absolutely have the rhythm. Peacock drains one, and the lead is 18 again, equaling their largest.
Georgia Tech, Maryland, Georgia, if they hold out and close out this game, will have won 7 of their last 9 heading into the tournament. More importantly, get them to 8-8 in conference regular season and 20 wins on the season, the 3rd time in 4 years they've done that.
Absolutely. And one of the other things to consider is some bubble teams and other conferences have had some chances to impress the committee this weekend, and they haven't gotten the job done. Georgia yesterday, Alabama today. Spears knocks it through. Look over in the Big East. A lot of work to be done for some of those teams that have not gotten those critical wins. So if you're looking for additional teams to get in out of a power conference, the moves made by Georgia Tech and Florida State really propel them back into the national fray. I think there's a really good chance that Florida State at 7-9, with their strength of schedule, Mike, can get in if they can win a game or two in the upcoming ACC tournament?
Yeah, I'd say probably 2, but certainly it's there for them. And again, still, it's I thought a lot of the questions were going to go into all the league tournaments, number 1 seeds included, and opportunities for people to get in and see the bubble teams. Right, Georgia Tech, I think, is in. And so a win today, I think, would really solidify that.
The Clemson win and where it came today is important, but the way they finished the year works against them. Strength of schedule works against them. When you look at Florida State, that 22 strength of schedule ranking is vital. A loss to a team like Pitt or a team like Wisconsin actually helps you more than a win against a Savannah State, which is who Georgia played non-conference, and it really hurt them.
Well, and you get that, and I'm sure that they'll take in the fact that Tony Douglas was hurt, and you got that long losing streak at the end of the year, but they do finish with 2 wins, and that's why I think that the tournament's critical for them.
And again, not to rain on anyone's parade, Georgia still would have an opportunity if they could make a run in the SEC tournament by winning a couple of games. They might work their way in off the bubble as well. But there's another turnover by Rice. It's just a suffocating defense. 18 turnovers by BC.
Well, and it's the defense, but really he had no outlets. Everybody's standing around, and against this press, you can't pick your dribble up. The double team right there, he had really nobody to see.
He's set on his feet, big boy. Don't be moving.
Dickey out to Amino. Dickey tips it in.
Timmy, very impressed with the way that we talk about Mario West, the way he's run this team with Crittenden giving him some nice minutes on the bench. Really no drop-off in productivity.
Spears in traffic is fouled. It will go against Rayshon Dickey. It is a senior day, one that everyone always remembers, Mike.
Yeah, special time, and unfortunately a lot of the great players don't get to experience it these days by not sticking around, but he certainly made it memorable. I understand this guy was a walk-on at Georgia Tech and has become a very vital part of this program. He's seen a Final Four, and I'm sure he wants to come in and see his senior year not end quickly as they go through March.
Earned a scholarship in the 03 season, a Dean's List student. Got his degree in management, is now working on a 2nd degree in economics. The family very, very proud for him, and they should be.
You know, I remember a story of Paul Hewitt. It was a game early. It might have been the UCLA game. He got graded poorly on the tape by the coaches, and he went in and argued his case. He was upset with his grade and took it to the professor.
I like that idea. Shows there are some debating skills in that young man.
Yeah, and you know what? And the coaches relented and said, you know what? You're right.
He's such a solid statesman. He won the debate. No rebuttal necessary. Crittenden with the clock winding down. Finds Mario. Raised the iron. Taken down by Marshall.
Well, that's what, BC, and unfortunately for them, it was a 35-second use of the clock, so well done by Georgia Tech to make some clock, but BC's got to make stops to get back in this game.
Time winding down on them. West picks up the foul. That's his 3rd. I don't know that Ray Natili is going to relent and say, no, you're right, that's not a foul.
No, this is just a little hesitation, dribble, and trying to get the corner, so Rice gets to the free throw line, and again, BC at the free throw line well ahead of Georgia Tech. Only 2 team fouls for the Eagles, and BC will be shooting the rest of the game.
I don't think that'll be the last standing ovation Mario West gets today. Tyrese Rice at the free throw line. Boston College is now 19 of 22 as a team at the free throw line. Crittenden fouled prior to the shot.
As you talk about tournament play, you look for something in a positive with Boston College. The fact that they do get to the free throw line and take advantage of it, I think is something that will work in their favor in the postseason.
Here's one of those cliches that maybe you hear too too many times in the
don't use
NCAA.
it.
Well,
then don't use it. Oh, go ahead.
But it's true. In the postseason, the game does slow down.
Yep.
And it's an advantage for teams like BC. Another alley-oop for Smith. Crittenden was trying to find him, and Dudley said, "I will have none of that. There will be no dunk on top of me."
Not a lot of runouts. Teams much better at getting back in transition defense.
I think the other thing, too, is anxiety sets in for those teams that like to play the 94-foot style. When you get into, well, the conference tournament, a lot of times you're playing teams a third time, so it becomes a defensive-oriented game. And then in the NCAAs, you're playing usually against someone you don't know that well. Crittenden with a nice layup. 14 for him.
And Paul Hewitt loves big guards, and that's why, so they can operate in the paint.
Look at that pilfer. Thaddeus Young.
They've been shooting the gap well all day, Tim, especially out front.
Marshall for three.
A little subtle thing by Dudley after that jump shot, grabbing the ball and putting it on the floor so Georgia Tech couldn't get it in quickly and run it up.
Rayshon Dickey over Blair. Tell you, if you get him warmed up down along the baseline to go with Young and Crittenden, this team is tough to defend.
Yeah, he's got a very good low box game. All it does is help the perimeter out, collapsing the defense.
Marshall again pumps. He's drained 2 in a row from downtown. He has 12, the senior from Rialto, California.
And now Dudley did the same thing. He was told by Reggie Greenwood to leave the ball alone after it goes through the hoop.
There's a timeout on the floor.
Timeout. The lead is 14 for Georgia Tech. One freshman. And then another freshman. Offensively and defensively and all around this five-star city. ACC Sunday Night Hoops presented by Pizza Hut. A special afternoon finale here at Alexander Memorial Coliseum. Georgia Tech leading by 14, 7-14 remaining. And boy, if you could just play those conference and NCAA tournament games at home.
Well, and if there's a disturbing number for this team, this is it on the road, 1-8. And of course, by definition, you are playing at least on a neutral court in postseason tournament play. So Georgia Tech is going to have to get their act together on the road to continue the margin this year.
That margin in rebounding and scoring today, assists, they've been plentiful all afternoon. Georgia Tech almost had a breakthrough, I thought, in that Virginia game. As you see Thaddeus Young hit, they had a 7-point lead late in that game. A couple of decisions made down the stretch by the guards were curious, and it allowed Virginia to come back and win that game. But since they returned, Mike, they've played with a great sense of understanding time and score, both in the North Carolina game and certainly they've taken it to BC today.
Well, one of the things right in the middle of the 4-game losing streak, Paul Hewitt removed the names off the back of the jerseys for Georgia Tech. Just wasn't happy with the way his team was playing. Certainly wasn't happy with the way they were defending. And right after that is when they went on their run to win these 6 of the next 8.
Anthony Morrow checks out. Smith is in there. Thaddeus Young. Mario West back on the floor. Rayshon Dickey and Crittenden for Georgia Tech.
BC running through their flex offense right now, something they just haven't gotten a lot out of.
Clock winding down. They fell asleep that time. Tyrese Rice. Time and score, and that was a real breakdown by the point guard, Terrell Skinner.
That's your responsibility to understand where the clock is and where your offense isn't.
Well, look at that, 20 of them today. Averaging 14 per game. They usually protect the ball far better than this. Georgia Tech has just amped it up on the defensive end. Young in traffic, rejected by Blair. His second block of the day. And Marshall really wanted the ball. Dudley for three, not there. Blair on the offensive boards, and he's fouled.
That's as good a look as Dudley is going to get, and unable to knock it down.
Did you see Sean Marshall jumping up and down on the wing? I'm over here. Skip pass, skip pass.
You had two guys. You had Dudley doing the same thing, and you're stuck in the middle saying, what do you want from me?
Now coming up next, the Pac-10 women take center court. Pac-10 championship tournament semifinals. Coverage begins right here on FSN immediately after our game. It's Arizona State and number 25 Cal. Blair's second free throw coming as Zach Peacock re-enters the game and Rayshon Dickey leaves. Empty trips at the free throw line when you're down 16 are difficult to deal with. He just split that double team with ease.
Well, Blair got caught out too high that time, and it gave him a lane with Crittenden. Beautiful. It reminded me of Mark Price, the way he threw the ball through the double team and got to the rim.
The presence of Dickey, you bring up Price and some of those great teams, Bobby's earlier teams in the 80s, but he really got it cranked up here. This is a very young group. If a large number of them remain and stay for at least a couple of years, Paul Hewitt may be onto something very, very special in the not too distant future.
And how about a shout out to our friend Bobby Cremins?
Absolutely.
Getting to the finals of the Southern Conference tournament. Bobby McKillop and Davidson doing a great job, but what a year for Coach Cremins.
That semifinal win he got was just tremendous against Appalachian State. Probably cost them a chance for an at-large bid, because they had an incredible year. Crittenden, what a feed to Young. 10 assists, tying a career high, dropping dime after dime here on Crittenden court. Wow.
Freshman no more.
Rice. Young the rebound. Lead up to 20. Largest lead of the day for Georgia Tech. Peacock gives it up to Thaddeus Young. West was going for the thunderous follow flush, but it was not to be. What a performance by Georgia Tech. And Javaris Crittenden, don't blink. He'll split you, and then he'll drop you with a quality Sunday dish, the kind Mom could be proud of. 72-52. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, and you've been keeping up with the ACC first-teamers. According to the G-Man.
Yeah, you know, Al Thornton, certainly. Tyler Hansbrough's had a terrific year. Jared Dudley, Zayden Dowdell, and the last one I really agonized over and put Sean Singletary ahead of his teammate J.R. Reynolds. Reynolds was the first one on my second team, and that was tough. I mean, they're basically the same player for that team, but just a little bit of an edge to Singletary.
It's interesting that you'd say that, because there's so much young talent in this league right now that you wonder if, for instance, a freshman like Young could cost a freshman like Crittenden, or if a player like Lawson could cost a player like Hansbrough in terms of player. I mean, you do think of that when you see so much talent, young talent on the same team.
But 3 seniors and a junior on that squad, and a sophomore Hansbrough.
Rice, a runner, taking 72-54. Mario West Final home game of his career. And it has been memorable. Nice ball fake and a deuce by Bell. DeAndre rings one up. Sophomore from Los Angeles.
In many ways, too, known as a defensive stopper, but it seems like everybody's gotten into an offensive rhythm for Georgia Tech in this game. 52% now on the game. How about this, Timmy? 29 more field goal attempts for BC, or for Georgia Tech than BC. Incredible.
Conte Forum, of course, is their home court, and there's a lot of hockey played there. Today on the road, they've relinquished a lot more shots on goal. Tyrese Rice with a scoop to the hoop to bring BC back within 18. And you see there, Bobby Crimmins quoted me talking with him. I read today in the local papers after losing that game to Davidson in the Southern Conference Final. He said, "Hey, it was a nice run, 22-11. Now I'm concentrating on what else?
Recruiting. Hit the road, get better." But boy, I tell you that the town of Charleston has really embraced him. Funny with that accent, but they've really taken to him.
That sounds remarkably similar to what happened here in Atlanta, Georgia, some 20 years ago. Rice, a floater, touched all of the rim, but went in. Tyrese now up to 18. Golden era, you were talking about Mark Price and Dalrymple and Sally, Yvonne Joseph, all those guys. This team, inside and outside, Mike, has similar talent. It's a different era, but the components to Paul Hewitt's team right now are very similar.
On the crowd giving a nice chant. They want Mario to do something here spectacular, and hopefully he'll get a nice little curtain call.
Remember what senior day was like. When you talked to me many times, your jersey was retired that day. You went for the steal, foul committed. Spears in that position, and he's been able to overcome, what had to be some jitters to play one of his best games.
Yep, and doing it a complete game. And now Crittenden is going to come back in. What about passing the torch? Nice stuff there.
It is a wonderful moment, and he deserves it. The original walk-on can take a seat for the final time at Alexander Memorial. Crittenden has it blocked by Tyrell Blair. Dudley feeds Marshall. Spears the follow as time winds down on Boston College, 74-60.
Well, we'll split up. I'll go to the ACC tournament partner. You go to the SEC, but we'll be back in the NCAAs, and we'll see both of these teams in that field.
Yes, we will. And the last time we saw Paul's team in it, they were playing Boston College in the second round on their way to the Final Four.
Yep, that's right, up in Milwaukee.
It's been an honor, my friend. And for all of our crew, I mean everyone involved with Fox Sports Net's coverage of ACC Sunday Night Hoops, Steve Braddock, Hammond Reynolds, all the executives, as well as our guys in the truck, Joe Vincius, Lonnie Dale, Bob Steinfeld threw a ball for the season. Another great year of ACC Sunday Night Hoops has come to an end. We'll be back again next year for more great action. It was really a wonderful run in the best conference, top to bottom, in college basketball. For Mike Jaminski and Tim Brando, thanking everyone for all of their hard work. We'll see you again next year. Goodbye one last time from Atlanta.